Yeah, and the wood comes from the Verde River still, doesn't it?
Well, actually, I did get this this wood from the Verde area.
I found my buddy over in the corner, yeah, and I want to come back and kind of talk to you real quick. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure.
Hi, and your name is, sir?
My name is Robert Albert.
And where are you from, Albert?
I come from the village of Munkapi, and my Hopi name is Sakomniwa, and that's what I signed my artwork by.
And you want to explain to people at Germany or someplace where you're at, your hometown is?
I live in Gallup, New Mexico right now.
You live in Gallup.
And I do the show every year, and I'm known for these multi-figure carvings, one-piece cottonwood carvings.
Right, and I just know from my Hopi friends that the wood always had to come from the root of a dead cottonwood tree from the Verde River, which done traditionally for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Right, and the whole purpose behind that is that...
yeah, what is the purpose?
The significance of using the cottonwood root is because the root itself of the cottonwood tree seeks water out, and being people that are dry farmers being in the desert, their main their ceremonies are prayers for rain.
Okay.
So the root of the cottonwood tree seeks rain out.
Now we want to.
So that's the reason why they use only the roots of the cottonwood tree.
Now we want to figure out why it had to come from the Verde River, and that was always the key thing, because cottonwood grows everywhere pretty much.
Once it flowers and seeds, the seeds, since it only grows along the banks of rivers, it travels down the water and take it to different areas. So it's a tree that can be found just about anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. And there was no easy trick to get from the mesas down to the Verde River to get the root of a dead cottonwood.
Well, you'll actually find in the washes around the Hopi villages that
exactly they could. Yeah, exactly. And I said, but they made a deal to go all the way down the Verde River, and I learned it from one of my old friends on Old Arriby about they went down there to get the wood. And in some of the shows here, there'll be guys trying to sell you guys cottonwood root, white guys from the Verde River area that live up in that area.
There's so many carvers out there that finding wood, especially wood
a large piece. You just take a rather large root to be able, and this is all one piece, the bottom, right?
Correct.
And then of course the figures were added too.
No, those are all carved from the single piece of wood.
So this is all carved from a single piece of wood, and you didn't stick these figures on. Well, that's a big deal. You betcha that is a big deal there.
And that's one thing that distinguishes my carving.
Oh my God.
Other carvers.
Yeah, a big deal, because some of the figures, the Hopi Kachinas, are kind of glued together.
Not all the time.
No, I'm just saying some of them are kind of, because I got Hopi carver friends. And I got some Kachinas myself, and I've watched them carve before. You know what I mean?
But you know, ever since they've been doing carvings, there have been carvers that have done the one-piece carving, even in the old days.
Oh yeah, because in the old days they didn't have no glue. Of course, they would have had to have been all one piece. And I was down here talking to a lady one day, and I can't prove this or disprove it, but when you think of Kachinas, they originally came from the old spirits, or the shapeshifters, right, or whatever you want to call them, because the Hopi have a word for transformer, actually, and to be able to transform themselves from one dimension to another. And me and a lady were sitting here talking about Hopi lady were sitting here talking about, and I said to her, and I turned to her and I said, it kind of gets an alien feeling to it, doesn't it, when you say, well, the transform.
When you go out and see the actual ceremonies, you do get that feeling.
You betcha, you get that, you betcha. And when you and when you bring up the ant people, well, my God, it don't get much closer than that, because you know, people can relate the ant people to being the Greys. You get my point? Because of the big eyes, short, long arms, look like ants, skinny waist. You know, so that could very well.
You know, the Hopis always believe that it's their creation stories, that it's one world on top of another.
You betcha. And I have, and I've got recordings of Hopis doing their emergence story, and I got a Zuni kid and a Navajo kid doing the emergence story. Do you know it very well?
Basically, I know the story.
You basically
I don't
know
it word for word.
You don't know it word for word.
You do realize that going from the ground up through the sky really entails that traveling in space, you know, to a different world.
Right, right. And if I brought this up in other interviews, but it's kind of the Jack and the Beanstalk story, because after all, what was Jack doing? He went up to the sky and there was a giant, and the Hopis talk about the giants that roam the surface of the earth.
Right.
So there's your Jack and the Beanstalk.
We believe that we all originated from one people, you know.
Well,
and through our journeys, we all became who we are today.
I think we're all Hopi.
Yeah.
I do believe that maybe the Hopi were the first Native Americans.
Not necessarily Hopi,
but no, got that DNA from one people. When I say that, we're all Hopi. Yeah, and that's why I say that from, is that, you know, the DNA had to start somewhere. So then everybody would have had Hopi DNA in them in one way or another. So, hey, thank you very much, Robert. And I'll take a photo so I can email it to you, okay? And I'll show you how to find yourself on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll take 300 on that one.
Very detailed.
Yesterday, I could have sold out for more. I was stuck way in the corner, way over there.
Oh, yeah?
I finally complained and told them that I wanted to move.
Where are you from?
Kikotsumove, Third Mesa.
Oh, you're from Third Mesa, too?
Yeah.
It's beautiful work. Very beautiful work.
Thank you.
I'll come back.
All right.
Free.
Yeah. Look around and you won't find any dog price with that much detail.
And that's what it's all about, the detail, too, isn't
Yeah.
it? I got a bunch of Hopi friends anyway, on Old Arriby and stuff, so.
I live right at New Arriby, right below.
Oh, I live down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lonnie and Patrick from up there. I was just up there last summer for the dance in June on Old Arriby. And I think every June they have their first dance of the year or something like that. Yeah, wasn't New Arriby created by the Christians or something like that in a long, long time ago? And that's why it was there, because they wouldn't let the Christians up on the hill.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of Hopi friends. I know my Hopi history.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going this summer. I can't think of his name, but he's way on the other corner. He lives in Hootville. He's going to take me back to the carvings west of the petroglyphs west of.
Just right in the back.
Yeah, and take me up there. I featured him and his mom in a YouTube video when I met him last year in Flagstaff, and then sure enough, another friend of mine is going to be on an internet radio program of mine, and he happened to be set up next to him. I ran into him, and I got him on, and I also feature him on my blog. But he's an artist mainly. He does paintings, and he also does weavings and stuff like that. And so he said this summer, if I come up, that he'll take me back to them, because we got to talking about the Hopi and the alien connection, and which is true. You get my saying? You know what I'm saying? There's no getting around that.
We used to see them a lot when we were growing up, when I was growing up.
Yeah, I just ran some kids. I ran some kids that lived, and I didn't know there was I knew there was a reservation in Dulce, and because it's on the internet a lot about supposedly an alien base under Archuleta. Yeah, under Archuleta.
And if it tells like someone that's from the city, they won't believe you.
Oh yeah, but I've had, me and my son were coming back from Old Arriby once, and a friend of mine's father had a flying saucer land next to his cornfield down at the bottom of the hill. You know what I mean? The people on Old Arriby's cornfield were at the bottom of the mesa, right?
All the time, but
And me and my son are coming back, and I call it Jay's Corner, but that's not really it. Where the intersection is when you go to Flagstaff and then drop down to Strawberry, right? And we saw a flying saucer right there ourselves. So you guys, you both have had. And where were yours at? Up on the mesas there?
Yeah, well, I'm his mom, so we live.
Yeah, we figured that.
They
look a lot alike.
Definitely got the same mouth.
Yeah, in Kikotsumove, and they've always been around.
Yeah, and you always hear these stories if you just ask people, you know, about their sightings up on the reservations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, bud. What's your name?
I'm not Sakway.
You just can't say Hopi names, can you? You never. I don't try to attempt to even say them anymore. So good. You selling some stuff?
Yeah, just doing
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. This one.